Nagito's mouth is shut. I'm telling you, they were tortured.
The reason Nagito's body...
It's because the killer tortured Nagito.
I'm gonna try, sorry, but I really don't...
The killer didn't take... I'm telling you, they were...
The reason Nagito's body...
It's because the killer...
No, that's wrong!
I'm pretty sure I tried this the first time. Did I not try this the first time?
Nagito's mouth was covered with duct tape, so he wouldn't have been able to confess anything.
Did I try this? I was sure I tried this. I might have missed, and that's why I didn't really get it. Because I'm pretty sure I shot this. Okay.
If he was being tortured for information, they wouldn't have taped his mouth like that.
I did go like another time. Yeah, that happened. Okay, so it might be my game glitch. I'm pretty sure I tried that. I actually did it another time, but the same thing happened. I couldn't destroy it no matter what I tried.
I'm prepared.
Of course.
Ah, I just realized it. It's a trap.
Trap?
Stupid Hajime. You got caught in that trap.
Stupid. Bottle. Torture wounds, burn wounds, survival, not duct tape. I'm pretty sure still the duct tape. Because there's no blood on it, there's probably gonna be something like...
Like you said, if Nagito's mouth was taped shut, you'd obviously assume he couldn't talk, right? But that was the trap. They wanted to hide the fact that he got interrogated.
I can't back down! But if you tape his mouth shut, how is he supposed to answer anything?
I see, yeah. Okay.
Pay attention. This is... First, the killer tortured Nagi and got information about the bomb's location.
No. No, one button. I didn't think. I just pressed one button.
Crap!
Pay attention. This is how it went. First, the killer tortured and got information about the bomb's location. Then, after they killed him, they duct taped his mouth shut.
Nope. Wait, what?
Crap!
Okay, I'm
Pay
gonna
attention.
listen.
This is how it... First, the killer tortured and got information about the bomb's... Then, after they killed him, they duct taped his mouth. Whew, that was close, you guys. Thanks to me, you guys didn't get caught in the trap.
So it's the middle one, okay.
Pay attention. This is how... First, the killer tortured Nagi and got information about the bomb's location. Then, after they killed him...
Yeah,
Allow me
okay.
to cut through those words! No, there's no doubt Nagito's mouth was covered with duct tape before he was beat up.
Don't know how it did make sense with my other two, but yes, okay.
What did you say?
Who cares about the duct tape? We might as well settle this with rock, paper, scissors. We don't need to play a game. It's clear the duct tape was on his mouth before the torture even began.
Why do you always side with Hajime? Do you have a crush on him or something?
Are you in elementary school or something?
You were with us when I peeled the duct tape off Nagito's mouth, right? The blood on Nagito's face wasn't under the duct tape, remember?
Yeah.
The blood on his face came from his arm wounds.
Sometimes I get so confused.
Which means the duct tape was on his face before his arms were even wounded.
And the duct tape had a lot of crinkles around his mouth. He must have been struggling to open his mouth under the duct tape.
Perhaps the duct tape was used so he wouldn't be able to scream. Then it's like I said at the beginning. The tape wasn't for torture. It was to keep his mouth shut.
However, if they wanted to seal his mouth, they did not need to hurt him with such ferocity.
They probably had a deep grudge against Nagito.
Then, are you saying the killer was trying to make him suffer?
If so, it's friggin' crazy. Did they go psycho or something?
No, they didn't just go crazy. Whoever did this must be one crafty bastard. If not, they wouldn't have taken the time to set fire to the crime scene and destroy all the evidence.
The warehouse fire was for destroying evidence?
We can't think of any other reason.
What's it? But it didn't really destroy any evidence. If it was to destroy the evidence, they would burn up the body.
But who could have done that? When the fire occurred, everyone in this room was gathered in front of the warehouse.
Yeah. And right after I opened the warehouse door,
the flames started burning from the very back.
Which means it is plausible to think that nobody here set the fire.
Huh? But, huh? No.
The killer isn't one of us. But that's not the case, huh? I mean, it's wishful thinking.
Oh, come on, this one
Even
is
if
easy.
it was only a coincidence, the timing was just too perfect.
No, it was set up.
Based on the pattern up until now, we should suspect that some kind of setup was used for this.
Thank you.
Some kind of setup? Like what?
I don't know, maybe I don't know, lighter behind the door that would open, set fire to the panels and then fire to everything else. I don't know.
I do not know that, but that has been the pattern before.
True, a game could.
That's our Miss Sonia. You have such an amazingly high intellect. Alrighty then. Let's think about this based on what Miss Sonia thinks. Is that okay, Miss Sonia?
Damn right it is!
Okay. Reason for fire, the right, we need to clear that up first. Oh, there's gonna be iron panels. Oh, the fucking lighter. Let's see. Oh, burn rope. Yes. That's just...
The direct cause of the fire was the oil lighter found at the crime scene, right?
I can destroy that. No.
The killer used some kind of setup
Panels?
and lit the curtain on fire with the lighter.
That makes sense, yes.
Some kind of setup?
Did they use the oil as an improvised fuse?
They probably just threw the lighter.
Nope.
Based on the shape of that oil lighter, it can stand upright while the flame is lit.
If they tipped over the lighter in some way, it could have ignited the curtain.
Some way?
Maybe they used invisible thread.
Nope.
There should have been a way to tip it over with sound waves.
What?
Or
No!
perhaps opening the door caused intense wind pressure to tip over the lighter. The direct cause of the fire was the oil lighter found at the crime scene, right?
Yes.
The killer used some kind of setup
Yes.
and lit the curtain on fire with the lighter.
Yes.
Some kind of setup?
Did they use the oil as an improvised fuse?
They probably just threw the lighter.
Based on the shape of that oil lighter, it can
Yeah,
stand
this is-
upright while the flame is lit.
If they
know.
tipped over the light, it could have ignited the curtain.
Some way?
Maybe they used invisible thread.
It's not invisible thread.
There should have been a way to tip it over with sound waves.
It was
Or
a sandwich.
perhaps opening the door caused
It was opening the door?
intense wind pressure to tip over the lighter.
Wait, what? But... Yeah, it did tip over, but... How am I
The
gonna...
direct cause of the fire was the oil lighter found at the crime scene, right?
The killer used some kind of setup and lit the curtain on fire with the...
Some kind of setup?
Yeah, I guess
Did
opening
they
the
use
door.
the oil?
They probably just based on the shape. It can stand up.
If they tipped over, it could have ignited...
Some way?
Maybe they used invisible
Nope.
thread.
There should have been a way to tip it over
No.
with...
Or perhaps opening
I
the
did this
door
one or the last one.
caused
Okay, what's this one?
I agree with that.
I was just like... what?
I also agree that opening the door is what started the fire.
Now, honestly, I was just thinking, open the door in itself didn't start the fire, but I was waiting for something like, how did the fire get over to the curtain or something, or it wouldn't be possible or something like that. No, opening the door. Hey, Hexa.
Just as I thought, it was the wind pressure. A dust devil blown here from glorious Japan.
No, not wind pressure. They probably used the Monokuma panels.
Doing great, thank you. What about you?
A huge number of tipped-over Monokuma panels were found at the crime scene, right? It looked like they were scattered everywhere, but some were laying on top of each other in a single line. Just a single line leading from the warehouse door to the fire's origin.
Glad to hear that. Oh, vegan. Oh yeah, it's vegan.
Does that mean anything?
The killer probably arranged those Monokuma panels to create a domino effect.
A domino effect. You mean those tiles kids play with by lining them up and tipping them over?
In place of those tiles, the killer used the Monokuma panels. So when we opened the warehouse door, the first panel toppled into the second. And
Oh,
from
yeah.
there, they fell like dominoes until they reached the lighter at the end.
That in of itself makes sense. Now, what doesn't make sense for me is the rope. And with red boxes, cause the rope was burned.
But wouldn't it be obvious that those big panels were falling over?
That's probably why they turned off the lights in the warehouse, so we wouldn't notice them.
So the reason the warehouse was dark was to hide the domino effect.
But wouldn't you be able to hear that technically? Like a lot of panels just be like dunk 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 all the way down.
And one more thing. There was something else the killer did to
Uh-huh.
hide the domino effect, right?
The music, that's right, I forgot about that one. Wow. Yeah, there.
I see! You're talking about the MP3 player, right? That hymn blaring throughout the warehouse masked the sound of the falling panels.
Inside the warehouse felt even darker because the eyes were still used to bright sunlight outside. But in that darkness, a loud hymnal blared throughout the warehouse at a full volume.
Do you guys hear something?
Yeah, it's really damn loud. Doesn't Nagito like listening to this depressing crap?
No, I'm not talking about the music.
And as if on cue, it suddenly started.
That's it. So the strange sound was actually the sound of the panels falling.
You have any plans for weekend, Sparks?
But those sounds weren't the only strange thing, right? Looking back on it, it was also strange when we opened the door to the warehouse.
It's fine. I'll open it slowly.
No, that's not the problem.
Seriously, it'll be fine.
With those words, I can't bust off everyone's warnings and slowly open the door to the warehouse. Clatter, clatter, clatter.
Huh? It's not opening. Is there something blocking the door? I can barely open it.
I knew it. It's a trap. Seriously, just stop it, okay?
Didn't I tell you? I'll be fine. I just gotta use a little more force.
What happened to opening slowly? Arcane ignored the protest and with mighty kick, the door flew open. Yeah, bang. Okay, thank you.
Ah, so the door was being blocked by a Monokuma panel.
And when we opened the door, the domino effect started, and the falling panels eventually reached the lighter.
Yeah, and that's how the warehouse caught on fire. At least, that's how it looks.
You don't look so sure.
At the time, Akane mentioned that she could barely open the door.
Now I see why the panels make sense with the, what's it called, fire. Because I didn't think about it. I thought the opening door made the lighter fall down onto the panels, but that's why those weren't on fire. Okay, that makes sense for me. But of course they fell, and then fell onto the lighter at the end. Yeah.
Because the panel was blocking it, right?
But it shouldn't be hard to open the door when the panel is blocking it. I think
But
that's
the blocked doorway, there wasn't enough space for a person to fit through, right?
right.
Is that a problem?
How would they get out? That's
It's a major problem. I mean, that door was the only entrance to the warehouse.
If that door was only the entrance to the warehouse. I see some problems here, but the killer couldn't have left.
I see! If the panel was so close to the door that it could barely be opened, the killer inside the warehouse wouldn't be able to leave, right?
Now that you mention it.
Does that mean they were hiding inside?
Who? We were all outside the warehouse, you know.
Based on the patterns up until now, I believe some kind of setup was used.
You don't have to think so hard. There's actually only one person who could have possibly done this.
Nagito.
You don't mean...
But if that's true, this murder
Hajime?
is a suicide.
What do you mean? ...
The person who set up the domino effect inside the warehouse. There's only one person who could have done that. Where was he standing? I can't remember. Where are you? There you are.
This is my answer! What if it was Nagito?
Why'd you bring him up? He's the victim, you know.
He wasn't just the victim. Maybe.
But then he wouldn't be able to spear himself, honestly.
Huh?
Not just the victim. What does that mean?
He was the victim, and he